I'm not a poet, but I love creative writing, and usually it happens when I'm really deeply and emotionally connected to a particular event. And I feel like I'm powerless to, for example, go and save the child who's drowning in the sea, and the only thing that I could do is to write and express it through writing. And it is in that moment that inspires me to keep writing. And like I said to Dana in a conversation that we had, that I think the best form of getting people to understand the conflict, the misery, and the pain that other people are suffering is through storytelling. And poetry is a form of poetry, storytelling. And I believe in the strength of human-to-human connection. And this poem, it's written, and I'll read it in the memory of the small girl, the Hazara girl who was, beheaded for her identity, for her small eyes and flat nose and high cheekbones, for her identity as a Hazara, and the rest of her family who was so brutally murdered a few weeks back. And also my people who are still suffering from the same, history of oppression, and are still going through that same historical pain and oppression that has happened over and over again. And this is for them, and also for the people who are waiting, on the borders, asking people that I'm a human too, and it was not my fault that, my country is bombed, and it's not my fault that I want to live, that I too am a human being, and like you, all I want to do is live, be able to smile, be able to feel pain, be able to go to school. And this is in their memory, so I'm gonna begin. Oh, my blanket snow mountains echoes sounds of laughter and joy, and speaks of the sweet tales of a soulful mother who sang lullaby to her newborn child. Oh, the sounds of my blanket snow mountain resonates the suffocating voices of peace-loving people. People with almond eyes, high cheekbones, and beaming faces. The suffocating voices that sing songs of sorrows, once again, healing the century-old wounds of oppression. Oh, my blanket snow mountains, tell the people on the other side of the sea of how I wept when the machines of evil destroyed my family tree, notoriously cutting the veins of its nurturing roots and bending its proud branches down to the graveyard of its ancestors. Of how balls of tears dropped from my cheeks one by one, nostalgic for the morning breeze of a haunted homeland. Oh, people of the world, I miss my blanket snow mountains, and I weep, for my past is crushed in the dustbin of history. My present is crumbled by the bullets of war, and my future is blurry. In uncertainty, I limp forward. I, a man of no land and a lonely wanderer, drift across unfriendly borders in seek of a friend who could heal my blackened wounds and embrace me with open arms and whisper softly in my ears, "It's okay, you're safe now." Oh, my blanket snow mountains, tell the people on the other side of the sea that I, as a displaced and a dispossessed, cannot go back to a place where identities are broken and dreams are destroyed. Oh, my blanket snow mountains, tell them of the soulful refugee who jumped from fire into water, who now waits behind the barbed wires, stitching together the fragmented memories of love, laughter, and hope. Tell them to remove the shades of prejudice that has been imbued within their kind hearts, and tell them to let their mind take wings and fly towards the sky, for my story and the stories of those like me is scribbled on the open page of the sky. Oh, my blanket snow mountains, after the hero of our pains, they will for sure fly towards the cold walls of this detention center to whisper in a shaky yet excited voice, "Welcome. Let's rebuild utopia with the red bricks of love." Thank you. My dad, he came to Australia during the Howard era, and I came by plane after doing the paperwork in Pakistan and living in Kabul for 1 year. Even when I was in Afghanistan, I was a little child, and I can still remember, you know, it was short but sweet memories that has stayed with me for a long, long time. And you know, the fact that people hear all these negative stories about Afghanistan, that, you know, girls are not allowed to, like families not allowing girls to gain education. But whereas in my village, despite the threats that the Taliban gave to the Hazaras or people in general, Afghan citizens in general, that you're not allowed to send your girls to school. My dad, he would, you know, the little that he had, when he traveled from the city back to, you know, the Jalguri, that's where I come from, and that's where the 7 people who were beheaded, they were from Jalguri as well. And he would be like, no, I want my kids to gain education, and it doesn't matter that they're girls. And we're 6 sisters, 1 brother. And after my dad left, we didn't know about his whereabouts for a long, long time. And my mom supported, you know, 7 children by, you know, stitching and making clothes like this. And I'm so proud of her, and I'm so proud of my dad for bringing us here. At the beginning, it was a struggle, you know, trying to explain to people that this is what happened in your country. Can you please, you know, show me some love? You know, all I need is for you to understand me. And it was like, you know, a real battle trying to fight through this really a big change in your life. It's like taking a baby steps when you come to a new country, because first when I walked in, you know, the door, when I arrived, I was at Sydney airport, and the door opened. I'm like, what is it? What is there? You know, things like that. It was a big change, and trying to cope through that. And you know, since I was small, I loved reading, and after reading and reading and reading, and now I feel like I have an obligation to tell the stories of people who had the same life as me, but I was lucky enough to come here and get the opportunities that I have today. I think it developed over time. I did Year 12 philosophy, and that's really like when I started questioning everything that came towards me, whether, you know, that be religion, that be culture, politics, whatever it was. I tried to criticize it as much as I can, not negatively, but questioning why do such people believe in what they believe? Why, for example, and now I question like the refugee issue. Why are some people against refugees? And me and Dana, we had a good conversation about this and how we could probably, you know, change the debate in a very positive way. Like, let's try to, it's hard, but let's try to sympathize with people who are against refugees, try to understand where they're coming from, because I believe in the power of dialogue, in the power of storytelling, and you know, and poetry. I mean, who doesn't like poetry? Poetry is positive, and no matter what you say, people won't be like, oh my God, what political message are you trying to send through that poetry? Like, no, it's not a political message, you know, it's just an emotional human thing. And yeah, I think it developed over time as I was writing. Yeah. This is actually my 3rd time performing like this, so I haven't really seen like the impact or whether it has actually changed people's minds, but I think it has. I mean, poetry changed everyone's mind. I mean, I believe in the power of poetry and the power of conversation. And I was at, I don't know if you guys went to the event hosted by Sarah Henson Young, changing, I can't remember, conversation into action. Yeah, that guy who was from Go Back to Where You Come From, and then he came and spoke, and he was talking about how his mind changed, and that was through, you know, him experiencing what it means to be a refugee. And when you come and perform a poem, when you talk about, you know, like my snowfield mountains, that's like the mountains that I lived in, and those mountains were my protection. And I think, you know, people get attached on a human to human level. I think it has this power to not completely change, but start probably evoke a sense of curiosity in people's mind to start questioning what they believe in. And I hope that it has changed their minds. Yeah. I love Khalil Gibran, the Prophet. I mean, that's how I got inspired to change my writings into poetry. Also Rumi, yeah, Hafiz. Yeah.
Your favorite philosopher?
Favorite philosopher? Nietzsche. It's gotta be Nietzsche. Not yet. I usually post it on my Facebook. I'll friend you. I'll add you and you can read my poetry. Ooh, it's huge. It's a big question. Right now I'm involved with this peace building organization. It's called DEEP, Dialogue, Empathic Engagement and Peace Building. Started not last year, the year before, at La Trobe University by Alberto Gomez, the amazing Gomez. He was the director of Center for Dialogue, so it was just bringing people together from conflict backgrounds, like two ethnic groups, to have a conversation, a dialogue. And then he told me about that. He had done that before, but when I met him last year, he started talking about Center for Dialogue and how that has impacted on people who joined that program, who are a part of that program. And I was like, and then he asked me, he's like, actually, do you want to be a part of this organization? I'm like, heck yeah, I want to be a part of this organization. So we opened the Kabul node. I started that with some friends in Kabul, and we have some projects in mind, like offering a free online course on peace building and conflict resolution. But lifetime goals, I think it would be to, my aim is to become an international human rights lawyer and also work in the area of peace building. So something to do with ethnic minorities and also women's rights and children's rights. But I haven't got a specific project in mind yet. Yeah.